Do you struggle from love addiction, or are you on a journey of self-discovery and healing? Well, I certainly am. so, but what I want to do with this journey inwards is also share it. And so I am here to say that I want to start a tribe of people that struggle with either loving themselves or loving others. And I believe that this is a very, very common problem, but I feel like nobody really talks about the dirty stuff, like the stuff that we struggle with on a daily basis, like the mental obsessions about people that make us completely unfocused on anything else to do with work or life outside of that person. Nobody talks about the toxicity. Nobody talks about how to really start healing from it and how we can start rising in love instead of falling in love without guidance and falling into the abyss. So, today I want to talk about how do you know that you have a possible problem with love addiction? Now, because I'm not a psychologist, I basically am just going to ever talk about my own experiences and see if you can relate. So, the first thing is, I believe that I never ever felt worthy without somebody else validating me. And at first it was a very, very unconscious thing that was happening, but as I got older and more experiences and more pains from love, I started realizing very, very consciously what was happening. And it felt very, very sad and lonely that I wasn't able to really just be on my own and be very happy just by myself. I didn't even know what that was. I was like, what's self-love? Isn't that like being really egotistical? So I had no clue on what self-love is. And in all honesty, I am still learning what that is. So basically, I just want to talk to you about my life experiences. I grew up as the only child. I had to grow up very, very early, and I believe that I had some very, very traumatic instances growing up. So I actually suffer from a lot of like PTSD, complex PTSD from my childhood. But I don't really want to get into that too deeply because it's very depressing, and I don't really want this to be that depressing. I want this to be hopeful. But basically, if you believe that you had some instances in your childhood, just kind of journey inwards and see why you do and react the way you do as an adult, and maybe journal about it, and also just kind of start understanding how your little person is affected on a daily basis. So that inner child, like how is it being affected and how are you reacting from that place? I found it very valuable. So growing up, I also started living by myself very early on. I was living in different countries from my parents. I was removed from my friends. And I always felt like I needed a protector because I didn't feel very, very safe being on my own. And I think that was kind of like a natural process that I just had to embrace. So very early on, I always made sure I had a boyfriend or somebody that filled intermittent times in between, so I felt looked after. I also watched a lot of Disney movies and a lot of rom-coms, and I'm not ashamed to say that. When I was like in my late teens or even early teens, I watched a lot of rom-coms, and I always had this like very, very unrealistic romantic notion about this white horse, this guy on a white horse just coming and just sweeping me off my feet and basically saving me from all my life's troubles. I played the damsel in distress a lot. I was very, very manipulative around men to kind of get my way. So the way I was giving love and the way I was receiving love was coming from a very, very hollow and unspiritual place. I also got married very, very young. I was married for 10 years and we have 2 beautiful children. But with my first born, I was very, very young to give birth to my son. And I was not in a good place just because I didn't feel like I was worthy of nurturing another human being because I wasn't nurturing myself. So I struggled a lot with anxiety and I had postpartum depression for a really, really long extended period of time, which was very, very hard on my now ex-husband. But yeah, it was always very, very toxic, our relationship. I think also because we were in a place of codependence. I think there is a lot of love between us, or was, but you know, it was always this kind of like, you know, I don't exist without you place. And we also were in a relationship where we just hung out with each other all the time. And we didn't really allow other people to come into our space. Yeah, so another reason why I know that I'm a love addict is because I have other addictions that I'm recovering from. But those are addictions that I felt like were the solution to my initial love addiction cycle. So when I got separated from my, when I decided to be separated. See, you have to learn how to speak properly about these things. I started like just dating a whole bunch of people and partying, and actually started not focusing on the friends that did support me in the breakup. But I just started doing what I usually do, which is just like fall into another guy's arms. And I had some issues with drugs and alcohol as well in the past, and thankfully those are no longer part of my day-to-day problem. But I just feel like there is just not enough information for women on love addiction and healing. So I will explain a little bit more, and you guys have to excuse me because I've never really done this vlogging thing. So maybe you can also give me some advice on how to do that. But I just really just want to create a tribe of women or men that are struggling with the same thing. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to do a spiritual quest in healing my love addiction, and I just want to journey with you to see how we can heal this thing once and for all and love consciously. So I just wanted to wish you all a great day, and I hope you receive this video well, and I hope you love yourself today. Rise in love.